Hey everyone, hi. Hello listener. Welcome to the Ginyu Farce. This is our first episode. My name's Alex. I'm here with my friend John.
Hi there.
And we are talking about Dragon Ball. So we are watching Dragon Ball in its entirety. We're going to do original Dragon Ball. We're going to do Z, Kai, GT, Super, all the movies. The only things we're not going to do are some random filler episodes. We went to animefiller.com and found the ones that are considered not canon, and that just only we're only going to apply that to original Dragon Ball and to Super. We are going to watch all the movies and GT, even though they're not canon, because we want to. So
you want to.
Because I want to.
Because you want to.
Because
I saw it once. It was enough for me.
Because I want to. Yes, I like GT. I don't know. I think it's got its.
It has its quirks.
It has its reasons to exist. I think it's fun. I think even though it's like a mess, it's a fun mess to me anyway. But
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll burn it when we get there. So we are here for our first episode, and we're gonna talk about the Emperor Pilaf Saga.
Just finished that one the other day.
We just finished it. It aired from February 26th through May 21st of 1986 in Japan. And in the US, it didn't air until September 9 through December 2nd, 1996. So 10 years later, we finally got it here in the US.
Well, he had a hell of a time getting it on the air. I don't remember exactly, but they aired like one or two episodes of it, but it was under a different name before. I'd have to do some digging and some research into it, but it only got, I think, 1, 2, or 3 episodes and or maybe a TV special, and then a couple years later, that's when Dragon Ball hit.
Okay.
I'll have to do some. I want to say it was Zero or something like that. It was still 4 letters for Goku's name. I'll do some research into it, but
yeah, okay, yeah, and maybe if you, the listener, have heard of that, feel free to shoot us an email.
Yeah, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong too.
We'll cover it. We're definitely looking for feedback. The main way to find us is the Ginyu Farce podcast on Instagram. Or you can email at the Ginyu Farce podcast at gmail.com.
And Alex will answer all of your emails.
And I'll answer every single email, even if it's spam. Even if they just want to know about my credit history, I'll talk to them because I'm excited.
Give your social security number out.
Yeah, no big deal. So, you said that you felt like you had a hard time getting it over here, and I can kind of see why. Because
nobody was interested in anime in the late 80s. Or even in the early 90s, it wasn't really as much of a thing.
I mean, at least in the US, right?
Yeah. In Japan, I don't know, but yeah, I know it was, obviously a bigger industry.
Toonami wasn't out yet.
No.
Adult Swim wasn't out yet.
No. Yeah, I just remember the little snippet I read is that he tried to get it over here, and it was not well received the first time, and then somehow it got on a couple years later and it worked, but it still followed the same storyline. It was just named something else.
They did well. I can kind of see why it wasn't well received, because the humor is
horny stick bonk.
It's odd. Yeah, it's very I don't know. I guess I didn't really realize it when I was a kid. I didn't really think about it, but yeah, it's a little bit pervy.
Well, and as a kid too, we were mostly watching Dragon Ball Z. I feel like Dragon Ball didn't get a lot of runtime.
No, it didn't.
So you would see an episode here or there, but to be able to put it together into even one simple arc of that saga. But yeah, Toriyama needs a couple bonks.
Yeah, poor Bulma.
I don't know, man. She's so rude
I
all the
think,
time.
well, she is. I think she's a product of her environment. I think she's so rude because everyone's trying to like sleep with her, and like Goku's like patting her on the crotch, and like Oolong is like trying to like
Yeah.
turn into underwear that she can put on, and like Master Roshi's like trying to take her out on a date.
Well, he saw her whole hoo-ha too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, like, okay, how do you not realize you're not wearing underwear? You got like 2 pieces of clothing.
Yeah, for the whole.
I think she knew. She was like, let's just get it over.
You think maybe she did?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't pretend to know the minds of 80s Bulma.
But so I took some notes, so we're just gonna kind of go over what I thought was interesting. You know, right away, like from the first episode, I noticed that it was like it's definitely like more rooted in comedy, right, than like action.
Well, I think it was you that said it was more of an it's an adventure show.
It is an
It's
adventure.
not.
Yeah.
It's not a fighting show.
No, and it's definitely an adventure. Like in the first episode, if you remember, like Goku's like running through the woods, and he eats an apple, and he throws the core, and it like hits like a saber-toothed tiger or something. Which, by the way, what year are we in? There's like dinosaurs and saber-toothed tigers and advanced machinery. Anyway, and the tiger like chases him, and the tiger like straight up like Looney Tunes, like runs off the cliff but doesn't realize he's on air, and then he like looks down and his like eyes pop out of his head. And
he took that classic Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah. I don't know if they did like the classic like.
I don't think they did, but I definitely think there was parts, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like it was funny, and it's definitely more grounded in comedy. And I remember like he's swimming like naked, and because he's naked all the time in this show or arc. He like a fish starts talking to him about something. I can't remember.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'd rather eat you," or something like that.
Yeah. He's just like talking to a fish, like.
Which that I want to point out that talking to animals thing does not carry through the whole show.
No.
Which I think speaks to Goku losing some of that connection to nature as he goes out and sees more of the world.
Okay, I didn't thought about that. You think that's what it is?
Yeah, I mean, it just came to my mind, so I'm gonna roll with it.
I like it.
But yeah, I mean that would make sense. It would track. You know, he spent all of his time with one other person and then a bunch of animals, and all of a sudden now you're seeing different places, different people, different humans. You're not interacting with animals as much.
So like you're thinking not everybody can talk to animals, but Goku can, and so that's kind of our point of view.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like you can look at it one of two ways. Either is it Goku specifically that has that ability, or is it all Saiyans that have that ability? Obviously, you're limited on that number in Dragon Ball, but throughout the whole series, you never see Saiyans talk to animals. Maybe Gohan, I believe, in Z, maybe when he's training with Piccolo or something, might have that. But again, it seems like only when they're in the wilderness specifically and living there is when they can talk to animals. So
I don't know, because like Roshi can talk to a Bulma, talks to a turtle.
You mean Roshi's turtle?
Yeah. That
turtle talks.
So is that just like a special turtle?
I think that's a special turtle.
It could be.
Because I mean, think about Master Roshi. Master Roshi's drank from the fountain of youth. He has all these different magical items. He has crystal ball bitch. God, what am I calling her name?
Yeah.
But he has her.
I know what you're talking about. Fortune teller Baba.
Thank you. He has all these mystical items. I mean, who's to say he didn't find a fucking turtle that could talk in his 300 years of time?
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think that's part of it.
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
I
don't know. But like, I think Goku's just like in the woods doing wood stuff, and then Bulma comes up in her car, or she on a motorcycle, and hits him. No, she hits him with a car.
Yeah.
And then
shoots him.
She shoots him, and the bullets just like kind of like they're almost like little stings, like
like a bee sting.
And then he like thinks that the car is alive and he like wants to fight the car.
Yeah.
And then Bulma gets out of the car and he's like never seen a girl before. He says like he had no idea. Like I think he says something about his grandpa talked about them, but he had never he's never seen a woman or a girl before. Um, and then I thought like their like original encounter, it reminded me. I immediately thought of Ash and Misty when like he like runs into her and he like takes her bike and then he destroys her bike and that like becomes like a running gag. So like he like destroys her car and so he's like then they like tag along after the car gets destroyed.
Yeah.
Um, and then you learn that Goku has his grandpa's Dragon Ball, his 4-star ball, and he thinks that like his grandpa is like somehow his spirit is in the ball or something.
Whatever religious connotation or
Yeah.
spiritual connotation you want to have, his grandpa is inside the ball.
So he's like very attached to the ball because his grandpa gave it to him. And so Bulma wants it. And so he's like, Bulma's like, hey, you can come with me. We'll go on an adventure because he won't give up the ball. And so Goku wants to go on an adventure. And Bulma's also like, and this kid's super strong, so he can like protect me.
And I think just piggybacking off that, it just solidifies Bulma as the most important character in the show, I think.
Yeah.
Because without her, Goku would have never been found.
Yeah, because Bulma has a radar.
And then, yeah, I'm moving on off that. That was the last thing I had on that. But is Goku's not 14?
So in the second episode, so I bought the Dragon Ball DVDs, right? So while I was waiting for them to ship, I was watching them on Hulu, and it's the sub. It was the sub. So the first few episodes I watched subbed.
Okay.
And in the sub, Goku says he's 14. And I think it comes out later that he was wrong. He's not 14.
Wrong. He's like 6.
Well, it like becomes known that Goku doesn't know how to count or something. So he gave the wrong age.
Okay.
So he's not actually 14. And I don't know if they ever say his age in the US in the dub.
I don't believe they do.
But in the sub, it said he was 14.
Interesting.
And we learned Bulma is 16.
We'll have to find someone who likes to watch the subs to be a part of this to catch us up on that, or I'll make you do it.
Yeah, they have the sub option on the DVDs, but I just like the dub more.
I'm sure
it's what I grew up with.
Well, I'm sure there will be people that will be very upset with us for not watching the subbed version.
Yeah, they probably will. But if people find any like real interesting differences, just shoot us an email or something or a message and we'll talk about it because I think it is interesting how different it is. So yeah, we learned Bulma's 16, which makes it once you've learned her age, it's a little more weird. I mean, I guess maybe for the time it was what it was.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that we could do a whole episode on that in and of itself.
But anyway, all of these people in the show are sexualizing this minor girl, and that's just
except for Goku.
That's just except Goku. Goku doesn't care. He like doesn't understand. Like he's not interested. Like,
oh god. Finish up with that. I guess that would be too soon to tell you, but they actually make a illusion, I guess. No, it's more literal than that. It comes out in Super, where they talk about kissing, and Goku is surprised to see Vegeta kiss Bulma.
Oh,
and he's like, "You don't kiss your wife?" No, or something like that. Like basically saying like he doesn't kiss his wife; he just fucked her.
I wonder if Goku's just like, I don't know. Is he just like asexual, or
Well,
he's just not interested. He's so like concerned with just fighting that he doesn't really care.
keep in mind, he doesn't have the same mindset that most Saiyans have because he was dropped on his head.
Right.
So who knows what? I mean, that would probably be something we'd have to dive into the manga to get any more answers on. But I'm sure that has other side effects. I know that like the one is like Saiyans were supposed to be bloodthirsty and he was supposed to take over the planet.
Right.
But when it hit his head, it like reversed all that.
Yeah, changed.
So I mean, maybe his horny meter got reversed too. He's anti-horny.
Could be, because he doesn't seem interested in Bulma at all. He's like,
well, even Chi-Chi when it comes to that, like,
yeah,
he doesn't know what marriage is.
Yeah,
I'm skipping ahead, but
no, that's okay. I mean,
but yeah, I mean, even marriage, Chi-Chi kind of was like, we're getting married, and he was like, yeah. And then later on, it's like, oh, I thought that was a kind of food.
Yeah, he like doesn't know. Yeah,
we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but
so we learn that there's these characters, Pilaf, Emperor Pilaf, and then there's Mai and Shu. And Mai and Shu meet Goku because they go after a ball, which is like in a canyon or something. And then they see Goku there, and Goku like fights a bunch of wolves. And he thinks their plane is a bird, so he like uses his power pole to like make the plane crash. And I don't know, it's just more like old school comedy kind of stuff. Like they're
following the genuine arc of this.
They're villains, but they're like not really. I don't know. They just have like weird antics.
Dollar store mercenaries.
It's like wacky races, like old school. Like they're not actually threatening. They're just goofballs, kind of.
Well, I mean, think about it like this too. I mean, yes, they're not threatening, but Goku doesn't really see hardly anyone as a threat.
No, he doesn't.
So I mean, even like everyone is a friend until they're not. I mean, the turtle comes in, and that's what piggybacks them on to Roshi. And I think the first time that he has an adverse reaction to anybody wanting to fight them would be. Did he fight the Ox King? Did he try to fight the Ox King?
He does try to fight the Ox King.
Yeah, for like a second, but then it's like, but then he sees the power pole, and then it's fine. And then Yamcha. And even that doesn't result in animosity because he sees Yamcha later. He's like, "Hey, you're a person."
Yeah, he doesn't.
So
he's very pure.
Yeah, same thing with Oolong. When Oolong is doing his pervy stuff in the village, like he's not like angry. He's just like,
no, he's not mad.
I'm good. Which, going off of that, the fucking soup dumpling robot is my favorite one.
Yeah, that was.
He's like, I'm going to eat you like a dumpling.
That was pretty funny.
It's pretty silly.
So let's see. Goku meets the turtle. The turtle take him to Roshi. So Goku meets Master Roshi. Master Roshi has no idea what Dragon Balls are,
which is surprising.
Kind of interesting. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know. Here, you can have this if you flash me. 16-year-old, if you flash me, I'll give you this Dragon Ball. So she does, and Roshi found it in the ocean 100 years ago, I guess I wrote down. And then Goku gets the Nimbus Clap.
Which is again a testament to his purity, since you have to be purified to ride it.
Right.
And then we already talked about Oolong.
Yeah, Oolong, he's
just a pervy villain.
He wants to kidnap all of the girls, but then it turns out that they're not really. It's not like he's like making them like slaves or anything. He's like,
oh yeah, he's just pampering them.
He's just pampering them, and they're like like doing exercises and like working out and like eating.
You basically just find out Oolong's just a giant simp.
Yeah.
And when they get to the mansion, it's just like he's like, yeah, these girls are more trouble than they're worth. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
And then it turns out that one of the old women in the village has a 6-star ball. So
then they just continue the cycle of people giving out glowing orbs for seemingly nothing.
And they're getting Dragon Balls really fast. Like we're 4 episodes in, and they have 5 out of 7.
Which, I mean, It's not the fastest they've ever gotten the Dragon Balls because I mean, once you get into Super, Bulma just has a set. She just
Right.
has them. But yeah, I would say at least in Dragon Ball, it's probably the fastest you see them.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's like supposedly for now, like that's the whole like point of the show. You're like, all right, the show is called Dragon Ball. They're gonna like it's an adventure to find them, and then we're like 4 episodes in, and it feels like they're almost done. Um, so Oolong joins the gang.
Goku finds out that he can't carry Bulma. You have that written down because you can't carry just anybody on the Nimbus Cloud.
Well, I think I wrote that down as a question. I don't know if they ever tried it.
No, she tries to hop on it at some point.
She does try to get on it, and
she can't. But it's the same thing. Just you have to be pure heart just to get on it. You can't just be holding on to somebody with pure heart. So that's why Chi-Chi can ride it, Gohan can ride it, and that's pretty much all you see. Maybe Goten rides it at some point, but I don't think so.
I don't know.
I want to say there's a point where
everybody's flying around.
Yeah, because I think it's in season 7 of Z. I think that Gohan gives Goten the Nimbus Cloud.
Okay.
I'm like 90% sure.
I don't remember that, but we'll in a year when we get there, we'll talk about it. Let's see.
Ooh, yeah, you get to meet the biggest simp in the show,
Yamcha. Yeah, and that's like
and his house cat,
and you get the first fight,
which was really like hardly a fight, but
yeah,
your first real taste.
And so Yamcha, I guess, technically won, but Goku was hungry.
Yeah, and that's the closest Yamcha ever gets to a victory over him.
And then they fight again, like the next day, I think, when he's eaten and he like.
Yeah, and it again, it doesn't end, like it doesn't come to a conclusion. But Goku definitely has the upper hand.
And Yamcha uses his Wolfang Fist.
Yep.
Excuse me, Wolfang Fist. So he uses his Wolfang Fist on Goku.
Oh, we're moving on the horny episode.
Episode 6. Yeah, Bulma's in the shower. We get a nice Bulma shower scene.
Yamcha gets peeping Tom, and I guess he did go in there and grab grab that titty.
Yeah, he does a boob grab.
Yamcha gets more action than anyone in the first season without trying.
I guess so. Yeah, Yamcha's like, so in the first, in this first half of this arc, Yamcha has hit Chi-Chi into passing out, like knocks her out, and peeps on Bulma.
And sexually assaults her.
And
confesses his love to Chi-Chi too.
Oh yeah, so he just said he says
grooming.
Yeah, he says that.
The truth is, I'm in love with you, my dear.
Yeah, he does that. He says that so he can. I don't. Why does he?
He doesn't want the Ox King to beat him up or something.
Right.
And then.
So he's really making enemies here. Don't Goku's wife and Vegeta's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so after, like, when I'm done watching an episode, I'll like go to the Dragon Ball wiki and just like kind of skim it.
Fucking nerd.
I know. But it says that, so in that episode, they're in the camper, right? And Oolong's like, I'm gonna steal the Dragon Balls. So he like gives them like, he like drugs them in the tea.
Yeah.
In the sub, he's not doing it to steal Dragon Balls. He's literally doing it to like assault Bulma.
Nice.
Like that's his motive. Like he doesn't even want the Dragon Balls.
That's pretty common though in like Japanese anime, wasn't it? I hate to say it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Again, correct us if we're wrong. We're by no means anime experts. We just like Dragon Ball.
So he does in the dub they kind of like change some dialogue to make it so that he was trying to steal the Dragon Balls.
Because in America we hate rape.
We do.
We do.
Yes,
we do.
I think in Japan they do too. I don't know.
They probably do.
They probably aren't big advocates kids with it.
No.
Anyway.
You shouldn't rape people, is
No.
bottom line.
No, you shouldn't.
Or drug them.
You should not drug them.
But you should drug people to steal Dragon Balls.
But you do get a good scene where like Puar turns into Goku and Oolong turns into Bulma, and so they both think they're outsmarting each other.
And they both do a shitty job.
Yeah, they both look weird. Like Goku has like a ditto face, like where it's just the dot and the line.
Just to add on to that, for those who haven't seen Dragon Ball, Puar and Oolong used to go to shapeshifting school together, but Oolong dropped out, so Oolong can't maintain a shape as long as Puar can. But for some reason in this episode, usually Puar is supposed to be the better one at shapeshifting, but she just does a shit job.
Yeah, and Oolong bullied Puar too.
Yes, that's true.
So Puar does not like Oolong at all.
Yeah. Well, hate dynamic between the sidekicks.
Oolong's just not a very
good person.
No, I don't. He's a bad piggy. I don't like Oolong very much. He's kind of a douche.
I'll touch on it just because you wrote it down. It was pretty funny to watch Yamcha fire an RPG. Also, another thing that I think is funny is that throughout the continuation of episodes, they kept Yamcha's fucked up teeth, which I think is silly.
Yeah,
and they make a big deal out of it.
He did lose a tooth in their rematch.
Yeah, and
then he continues to have that tooth missing like for the whole arc, which is pretty funny.
Pretty silly. This is also. Well, after that, going back to like the Chi-Chi thing, we do find out the Ox King was the second pupil of Master Roshi's and Gohan's grandpa Gohan. Goku's grandpa Gohan was the first student.
Yeah.
So again, Goku seemingly managing to make friends out of having literally known one person since like 3 weeks ago. But
and we meet the first character. Well, I guess Roshi is stronger than Goku, but we don't know that yet. But
it's pretty. I mean, it's assumed, but yeah.
Ox King is stronger than Goku. Like Goku cannot beat Ox King.
Yeah.
He like tries, and he like can't even like, make a mark.
And then I know I touched on it earlier where Goku said marriage is a type of food, but I forgot that the Ox King does want Goku to marry Chi-Chi, but he doesn't make that connection to food until later.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's episode 7, and that's a good one.
Yeah. Oh, and then also you also find out about Goku's tail and the weakness in his tail.
Yep, because I think somebody grabs it. I can't remember.
Chi-Chi grabs it, getting on the.
Oh yeah, to get onto the Nimbus Cloud.
Yeah, and then next episode, I enjoyed the next episode where they go and find Master Roshi with Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi and Goku find Master Roshi to get the Bancho fan.
That was probably my favorite episode of the whole arc. Episode 8.
Yeah, it was a good one. And then you get to see the first real transformation.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the real transformation, but the first real power up. And I don't know exactly what that form is that Roshi uses, but he uses it throughout the series.
It's called Max Power.
Okay, because so you don't see it we'll talk about it now, and then we'll talk about it maybe 1 or 2 more times, but then we won't touch on it again until Tournament of Power and Super. Really?
Yeah, I think he uses it a little bit he might use it in the World Tournament. I can't remember if he does or not.
I don't know if it's present at all in Z.
I don't know either.
But yeah, I always loved Master Roshi's full Max Power.
Great power. Great. I loved it.
Yeah, great Kamehameha, and then
we see the first that's the first use of ki
energy. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, Goku can learn moves like really fast, right? Like
in essence, he really only needs to see a move once to be able to recreate it, and then Master Roshi sees that obviously because he spent 50 years doing that. Goku did it on the first try, blows up a car. So then he offers to train him, but obviously we're already doing something. So he's
gonna come back to it. Goku is like, yeah, of course I want to train with you because you trained my grandpa, and so I want to. And you trained Ox King, and Ox King just he could kick my ass. So I want to train with you and get stronger. So they're gonna circle back to that later. So they have 6 6 balls, and Pilaf has the one. And then we get to this lovely episode with Monster Carrot. Monster Carrot is a very interesting villain, I think. He's got a kind of a unique ability. He can turn anybody into a carrot. So he's very seemingly overpowered.
Yeah, okay, so here's my problems with this whole episode. For one, I don't know how far the power pool's reach is, but that's a really long distance to the moon. Two, those are just regular dudes that are with the carrot guy, so I'm not going to talk about his ability to pass through atmospheric conditions and breathe in space, but I know that those two dudes would have been burned up when they tried to leave the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And then even if they did make it through that, you can't breathe in space or on the moon. So then going even farther on that, they never touch on that again. Never comes up.
No, they're just like, all right, yeah, we got the guy on the moon.
And then and then you have it written down here as a note that Piccolo probably kills them in the Saiyan Saga, or I think we've talked about how he might have blown up the moon in the World Tournament. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I want to say
the moon is
he
destroyed
does.
though. At some point, the
Yeah.
moon is destroyed.
And so that for me begs the question is, during all the wishing where they brought back, like I think one of them was bring back everyone that was killed by the Saiyans, bring back everyone that was killed by Kid Buu. So I wonder if in any of those wishes, if the byproduct of that was Monster Carrot being up and around and back.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, we can assume that Goku could have possibly held his breath, and saved himself.
Yeah.
But because remember when he's fighting Frieza and he's like, yes, Namek will be destroyed and you can't breathe in space.
Yeah.
So we know that Goku can't breathe in space. So he could have potentially held his breath. But
you're walking really far to get there.
Well, there's one part later in the saga where they're trying to escape the castle and he's holding, the gang is being bent on the pole and they only get 30 feet in the air and they're like, oh, we lose our balance, and then the pole falls over.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how he went 265,000 miles into the air to get to the moon, and then just
irritate me.
And then he'd have to be standing on the surface of the moon and just point at Earth and extend it back.
Yeah, it's a hell of a marking for your eyes to be able to do that. And then you also have it in here that Monster Frieza, that Monster Carrot could beat Frieza, and I want to say no, just because during the Buu saga, when Buu turned Vegito into candy, and they kind of could still fight him and everything. I gotta say that there's probably a limit on that.
Maybe Monster Carrot's stronger than Buu.
Fuck off.
But yes, there's probably a limit to his power. So Yamcha helps him out a little bit, and then the gang keeps going, and Yamcha in part continue to just track them so that he can make his wish to not be afraid of women.
And then we kind of end that episode going into Pilaf's castle. Pilaf traps him. You get this weird episode with pinball, and
the pinball thing is really bizarre. I
don't get it, but
very Dr. Evil. It's so over the top.
I mean,
and he's
sharks with freaking laser beams.
He's playing the piano to
control the ball,
to move the ball. That's not how pinball works.
Yeah, it was definitely something.
Might be. I think it's a reference.
Yeah, and then you get another reference, which is the dirty underwear from Pilaf, which then pulls us into the pretty much the climax. Yes. The final two episodes, which is
because Oolong says something about having dirty underwear, or he needs clean underwear or something.
And his underwear chafes so bad, something like that.
And then we get a shot of the full moon. So We get a full
The
moon.
foreshadowing.
We get some foreshadowing.
And then you see Pilaf about to make his wish. And that's when Oolong jumps over him and wishes for the world's most comfortable pair of underwear. And then that pisses off Pilaf.
Yes.
Then you get Shu's ninja dogs that get murdered.
Yes, lots of dogs get killed by Goku and Yamcha.
And then Pilaf kind of captures them and puts them in this easy bake oven, but for the sun. And
yes.
Then you get the story about the full moon and the monster that killed Goku's grandpa, told by Goku. And that's when we kind of put together that Goku murdered his grandpa.
He's like, there's a monster that comes out when the moon is full. It trampled my grandpa to death. But I was sleeping, and I woke up and he was dead. And so the rest of the gang is like backing away slowly.
And then Goku looks at the full moon. You think nothing's gonna happen, and then you get this King Kong style transformation, the first real transformation.
It's pretty cool. It's cool. Like his eyes turn red.
Yeah.
He's like flexing, and like hair is growing all over his body. He's getting really big. He's getting fangs, like really large canines.
Yeah. That's something to be said for the animation style in and of itself. I mean, for being still in the 80s.
I mean, it's such a cool. I like the hand drawn animation. Mm-hmm. You know, you can tell they moved away from it later, but
yeah,
it looks good.
It was great for the time, for what it was.
Oh, I also want to make a note that when Oolong made that wish, it created one of the villains in GT when they're like at the end when they have to fight like Omega Shenron, they have to kill all the demons.
Which, I mean, was, in my opinion, one of the only good parts of that.
I think
the whole show, but yeah,
so
that is a pretty silly part.
You get a callback where
years later,
where the demon's like, "What wish are you?"
I was the underwear wish.
He's like salty about it.
Yeah, he's super salty. I want to say it was the 1 star too, but
I don't remember which one. But yeah.
So basically,
we have Great Ape Goku.
And then you get some marvelous technique from Yamcha where he can seemingly create weapons out of rocks by punching them, which, I mean, great business model for an idea. I'd buy one. But
yes, he
unfortunately they're not very sturdy.
Yeah, they break. He tries to cut off Goku's tail.
And then
he's, at least, you know, for him being such a, I don't know, a goof, like who can't be around women, at least he is like, he's a quick thinker. He's like, we got to cut off his tail. We know that his tail is his weakness. And then
after spending all that time punching that cutlass of all things, which I thought was silly, I think it's a cutlass. But then he's turn into some scissors, and they just cut off his tail.
Yes. So Puar is the one who cuts off Goku's tail, which is kind of funny.
And then fast forward, you see Goku's naked again, and doesn't remember what happened, obviously.
Right.
And I just want to touch on how annoying it is. It is like, where's my power pole? And then just like wanders back. They don't show him look for it, and then he just has it like 3 seconds later.
Yeah.
That's irritating.
He just like runs off to the castle, like doesn't have to sift through any debris or anything, I guess, and it just shows up. He's like, oh, here it is.
And then on top of that, I do like that they just force Oolong to give up his pants. And so he's just wearing briefs and underwear.
So and Goku's wearing like overalls, like army green overalls, and that's it.
And you know what? It's a good look for him.
And then Oolong says, "Is this kid an alien?"
Yeah, which is one of the first times you see that like kind of illusion. And you got to remember that when this came out, you know, we had no idea what it was going to become. This whole saga.
I'm not really sure if at that point, if even Akira Toriyama knew what he was going to do with it.
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he had a generalized theme for at least like Dragon Ball, but as far as like the worldwide phenomenon, Super, GT, the movies, fucking.
Like, do you think I don't know if he knew like, oh, there's going to be Saiyans and he is one, but I'm not going to tell anybody yet.
I don't know. We'd have to look at the timeline of the manga and see,
Yeah.
maybe watch some old interviews to see where Toriyama was when he kind of created that show. I haven't really watched too much into that.
Let us know. We'll get
someone who has more time on their hands than me.
We'll get some feedback. Yeah, that's like the first like reference to that, other than in one of the very first episodes when Bulma says he's something like, "I don't know where you're from, but it's not Earth," or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is where the saga kind of comes to an end, and the gang is going to split off. So Yamcha and Bulma decide that they're going to start dating because Bulma's wish was for a boyfriend, and Yamcha's wish was to not be afraid of women, and he's not afraid of Bulma
And they're
anymore.
both single and in the same area.
And they're both single, and they're together.
And then you kind of see the beef with Poir and Oolong kind of ended. And because he makes a comment about, do you think I would make it in a big city? And then Bulma is, like the nicest she's ever been to him. I was like, are you kidding? You'll be the talk of the town.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is silly. And so they all kind of go their own way. She ends up giving Goku the radar so he can help find his grandpa, and with tentative plans, I believe, to meet up after a year. And then Goku heads off on the Nimbus Cloud to Roshi's, and that's one of my favorite, I think, sagas maybe in the whole show, like in its entirety.
The tournament saga?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, man. Yeah,
just like their first real chase, like Jackie Chan, you get to see a ton of techniques, which I think you kind of lose as the show goes on.
Yeah.
The first tournament of power, you just get so much like immersion in it. They cover so much. They go through the preliminary rounds. They go through,
it's good.
By the time you get to the third World Tournament, then they're skipping that, doing, you're basically there for the finals. So,
yeah, so they're going to meet up in a year because Bulma says, according to the legend, the Dragon Balls just look like regular rocks for a year. And they all split off in different directions. So they're like, all right, we're going to like meet up later. You can have my Dragon Radar because we have enough. I can make another one, right? He wants to make another. She can make another Dragon Radar. So the whole gang, minus Goku, goes to the city, and Goku hops on his cloud and heads for Kami House. Right? So that's pretty much where we leave off. So
yeah,
that is the first saga in the whole series. So we'll pick back up in probably maybe we got 15 episodes, so maybe 3 weeks, and we'll do the world tournament.
We'll be back when we want to go back.
Arc. Yeah. So we're gonna do roughly a saga per episode.
We'll break down the bigger sagas into a couple episodes if that's what people want, or if you want us to spend even more time on like even these shorter sagas, let us know.
Yep, we'll definitely take your feedback. You can. I think the best way to reach us is the Ginyu Farce podcast on Instagram, or the Ginyu Farce podcast at gmail.com. And then I think I'm going to make a YouTube channel as well, in case people don't have Spotify and they want to listen. Then they can listen on YouTube. So thanks for listening. Stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.